Students, today let us check what are simple, complex and compound sentences. This is the basic that we start with. What is a sentence? A sentence must contain both subject and verb and express a complete thought. Whenever we are talking, we can identify that a subject is who or what is doing the action, a verb is the action, and a verb is also called as the predicate. Let us check what are the predicates and subjects in these sentences. The subject is the doing action. The compound subject, sometimes we have compound subjects, that's more than one subject. A predicate is one action and a compound predicate is two or more actions. So identify it with the examples given for you. And what is a subject and a complete subject? The subject is just the subject and no descriptors. For example, the young students enjoyed the game. So here the subject is students, young students. The complete subject is the young students and the students enjoyed the game becomes your simple subject. So, simple predicate and complete predicate. The simple predicate is cheered, and the complete predicate will be the words plus descriptors. If you are describing something with a verb, that becomes your phrase, verb phrase. So, here many students cheered wildly. This is a sentence, and Jane will finish the test after the school. So, will finish the test after the school along with the modal auxiliary, it becomes your descriptor of the sentence. Simple sentence is a basic sentence that expresses a complete thought. It contains a subject, a verb, a complete thought. Example, the train was late. Mary and Maggie took the bus. So this is your simple sentence. Examples of simple sentences. Joe waited for the train. Joe is the subject, waited is the verb. The train was late. The train is the subject and was is the verb. Mary and Samantha took the bus. Mary and Samantha is a compound subject. Took is the verb. I looked for Mary and Samantha at the bus station. I is the subject. Look becomes your verb. Mary and Samantha arrived at the bus station early but waited until noon for the bus. Here, Mary and Samantha becomes your compound subject. Arrived is the verb and waited is the compound verb. So what is a compound sentence? A compound sentence contains two main clauses joined by a comma and a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon. Compound sentences connect with two simple sentences, but they often do not show a clear relationship between the two parts. Remember fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So if I am using any of these to connect the sentence, we can understand that the subordinating clause or the subordinating conjunction in the sentence makes the sentence a compound sentence. So the examples of compound sentences, you can check it from this slide. So, a complex sentence. A complex sentence contains a main clause or one or more dependent clauses. If the dependent clause comes before the independent clause, add a comma after the dependent clause. If the main clause comes first and no comma is added between the two, that is taken as a complex sentence. A complex sentences can show a more specific relationship between the parts of the sentence than a compound sentence. So the examples of dependent clauses. Because is the conjunction, while is the conjunction here, and after it becomes a dependent clause. So the sentences, these dependent clauses cannot stand alone. That is the identity that you have to remember. That is the identification. If you are taking the dependent clause, it cannot stand on its own as a sentence, but they can be added to another independent clause to form a complex sentence. So we can add this to the other uh, sentence, but we cannot fit the sentence as its own. It cannot have the meaning on its own. In other words, the main clause becomes your engine and all these dependent clauses become the bogies of the engine. interconnected bogies or whatever it is. So a dependent clause begin with subordinating conjunctions. So I gave you the list of conjunctions here. You can check them. And a complex sentence joins an independent clause with one or more dependent clauses. The dependent clause can go first in the sentence, followed by the independent clause as the following. Because Mary and Samantha arrived at the bus station before noon, I did not see them at the station. While he waited at the train station, Joe realized that the train was late. After they left on the bus, Mary and Samantha realized that Joe was waiting at the station. So these sentences are taken as complex sentence because they are joined. One sentence is depending on the other. See here, while he waited at the train station. So waiting at the train station is the main clause. Joe realized that the train was late. So realizing the train was late is only after waiting at the train station. So the boy did not get to know when the train will start. So he waited there. So waiting there is not the main clause, but while staying there, they got to identify the, the the cause and the effect. So conversely, the independent clauses can go first in the sentence followed by the dependent clause as in the following. I gave these sentences here. You can check them. I did not see them at the station because Mary and Samantha arrived at the bus station before noon. Joe realized that the train was late while he waited at the train station. Mary and Samantha realized that Joe was waiting at the train station after they left the bus. So the complex sentence, examples of the complex sentence. We won the game because we worked together as a team. So we won the game becomes your independent clause. Although I broke my arm, I still cheered for my team from the sidelines. So cheering is a way. So this becomes your independent clause. And although I broke my arm is something that is relying on the other part of the sentence. So it becomes your dependent clause. Compound and complex sentences. A compound complex sentence means we have the qualities of a compound sentence and a complex sentence in the same sentence. A compound complex sentence contains two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. This is the most sophisticated type of sentence you can use. Though Jack prefers watching comedy films, he rented the last spy thriller and he enjoyed it very much. So I'm joining it with the conjunction and to make it a compound, and I started the sentence with though Jack prefers, making it a dependent clause. So these sentences identify the type of sentence. Our coach will host a pizza party when we win our first game. So what type of sentence it would be? Our coach will host a pizza party. Pizza party will be only when we win the first game. So when we win the first game becomes your independent clause. Our coach will host a party becomes your dependent clause. So this is the example for a compound sentence. Olivia and Caroline went to the movies. We can understand this is compound subject and only one verb in the sentence. It gives you the simple sentence. James grilled burgers and Patrick made a salad. So there are two sentences where James did something and Patrick did something joined with a conjunction, and it becomes an example for compound sentence. Since I made the horror honor roll, my parents let me have a friend spend the night. So parents giving a chance for this boy to spend friends night with friends is the main clause, and the honor role maybe the boy is very much serious about how his parents would react. So the boy has behaved very nicely. So that becomes your dependent clause. Before Alice called me, she called her mom and her mom asked her to babysit her brother. So what does it become? It becomes a complex sentence. I believe students, you have understood the concept of complex compound sentences. You can check these from the slides given. All the PowerPoint could be read by you again. If you have any doubts, you can just fall back and so you check them. All these is described in the PowerPoint itself. Any doubts, sir? You're welcome with your doubts. Thank you.